in Buffalo, New York. But yeah, so I guess 1930 to 2012. Rest in peace, Hostess. It's pretty interesting because the day they closed, Twinkies just started selling like for exorbitant amounts on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
they'll last for a while.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing that got bought out from all the grocery stores was the Twinkies because that's the only product they have that's just theirs. So, so the Twinkie, because
Ho-Hos. I guess.
Yeah, there's imitation Ho-Hos, but there's no imitation Twinkies.
Yeah, I've never seen an imitation Twinkie. Now that you mention it.
But
go buy your Twinkies now. They're collector items.
Well, you can't get them in the store now.
They're gone.
But I got some Hostess cupcakes. Those are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some Hostess.
Yeah, I shouldn't eat them because I really want to sell them on the internet. But there's a market right now. I tell you, they're going.
I don't know exactly how this. I feel this somehow goes in, but for one of our motivational quotes of the day, Jackie Joyner Kersey said, "It is better to look ahead and prepare than to look back and regret."
Yeah.
So for all the Twinkie and Hostess people, I'm sorry. You gotta look forward. Check out the Little Debbie range. Maybe they got the Nutty Buddy.
Nutty Bars.
Nutty Bar, yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah, that's Little Debbie. But unfortunately,
one of my students bought
someone now that Twinkie's gone though, there's gonna be a new Twinkie.
Oh yeah, someone else. Well, they're selling, I think, the patent to some other company.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, the Twinkie will come back.
The Twinkie.
Come back, probably.
Yeah, some restaurants sell those deep fried as like a dessert. So it's like one of those things that businesses.
I think you can get them at the fair. Deep fried
Twinkie. Yeah, it sounds about right.
On a stick.
On a stick.
There you go.
And
you dip it in chocolate or something.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fair food. Deep fried on a stick, you dip it in chocolate. And that's everything.
Cover it with a little bit of butter too.
Yeah, it's all things.
Soaked in butter, dipped in chocolate, and deep fried.
Right.
With whipped cream on top.
It's delicious. Did you know that on this day in 1928, Walt Disney debuted his talking animated cartoon, Steamboat Willie, at the Colony Theater in New York?
Huh.
The short film featured a character who had been named Mortimer. Walt changed the name to Mickey Mouse. It used to be Mortimer.
Mortimer Mouse. Haha.
I wish
Jinx.
So Steamboat Willie was the first cartoon with synchronized sound, actually.
Oh, nice.
For those of you who don't remember Steamboat Willie, it was in black and white. Disney's first color cartoon wasn't released for another 4 years. I wish they'd say what it was. The star of the film has changed somewhat over the years, but Mickey Mouse is still with us in cartoons, on TV, in books, and even in his own stores. What a great success story, especially for a mouse.
Steamboat Willie.
Yep. So that was today, November 18th, 2012. We may have been late on getting the recording part of the show started, so if that's the case, sorry. The Packers won today, November 18th, 2012. 45 degrees. 9 mile of visibility.
I'm not a Packers fan, but that was a pretty epic game, I'd say, from what I saw of it.
I think a lot of the games now, from here on out, all the teams are playing teams within their divisions mostly. It's going to be some real tough battles out there on the NFL gridiron.
Well, it looked like the game belonged to the Lions until like the last couple of seconds. I was looking at it, and all of a sudden,
tough.
Boom! Packers, what they do, kick a field goal?
They scored a touchdown.
Scored a touchdown.
To win it.
Oh, yeah. It was they were behind by 6, and they won by 1.
They had to make a defensive stand, and they did. Oh, and there's Rob.
We got Rob Mack in the house.
No table.
Oh, yeah, you want to grab like a desk?
We have card desks.
Yeah.
It's almost better.
There's a table right there.
It's a portable desk.
Yeah.
The word of the day is pertinacious. Let me click on that one. Pertinacious.
Pertinacious.
Wait. The computer's giving me issues today.
Nacious.
Oh.
Thing that pertains.
Pertinacious.
adhering resolutely to opinion, purpose, or design. Adhering resolutely to opinion, purpose, or design. Perversely persistent. Stubbornly tenacious.
Oh, wow. So it's got the word pertaining and tenacious in it.
Yeah.
Which is the same word. It means to hold.
Stubbornly tenacious.
Like the word tendency.
Yeah, that makes...
I think. Maybe not. 10.
See, what do we got here? The 22-year-old paraplegic hasn't let his life-changing accident slow him down. He has branched out to new sports and even continues to snowmobile. He is pertinacious.
Huh.
Stubbornly tenacious. That's a good name. That's a good one.
I like it.
Work that one in.
Pertinacious.
Keep the bag because
we have a couple more motivational quotes. I like these. We try to grab pieces of our lives as they speed past us. Photographs freeze those pieces and help us remember how we were. We don't know these lost people, but if you look around, you'll find someone just like them. Ha! Gene McSweeney. He was a photographer. Imagine that.
He was born today or something, or what?
He was part of the motivational quotes of the day at quotation.
Oh, motivational quote.
Motivational quotes for today. Yep. And also throwing out an alarm clock if the ring is loud and strident. We're waking up to instant stress. You shouldn't be bullied out of bed. Just reminded that it's time to start your day. Sharon Gold.
No need of the back pushing your significant other out of the
Yeah.
Nice.
So with that, I think that kind of leads to Israel today.
Yes.
we got neighbors pushing each other again.
So
as always.
Yeah, neighbors
there. So it was, here we go, up here, Israeli strike kills 9 members of the Gaza family, in the Gaza Strip there. Israel says it was targeting a Hamas militant as part of its campaign to stop the group from firing rockets at its cities. The dead were women and children. This here source says, this is the Los Angeles Times. The question then that the LA Times poses its readers, will the strike derail or help conclude the ceasefire talks?
I think
Well, I mean,
it's going to escalate things further.
yeah, I mean, it's going to derail the
peace talks.
The peace talks. I will say, though, that it's going to be a pretty big mistake if they do mobilize that ground assault. That's going to lead to many, many casualties. So,
well, they've been at kind of a Palestine and Israel. This goes both ways. They've both been kind of killing innocent children on both ends and blowing rockets at each other, and it's been kind of a they've been shooting at each other and shooting rockets. I've seen video footage of rockets coming over in Israel, and then they're shooting them out of the sky, but occasionally they miss, and then one of them lands and blows some people up. So it's been kind of a slowly escalating war for the last how many 100 years, maybe. Well, more so since probably the last 10 years.
Well, since Israel became Israel.
Well,
and the 6-Day War, I believe that was in the 1960s. I might be wrong. Post World War II.
I think it was the 50s, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know the exact dates on it, but I'm pretty sure the 6-Day War was in the 60s, but I might be wrong. But I think that's the impression that Israel would like for people to have, is that it's and also the U.S. Military and so on would like us to believe that it's a 50-50 type of situation, the way you're describing it, Gabe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, let me think of an example where, it would be kind of like saying that the Native Americans and all the colonialists, all the colonial powers that came to the Americas, just were at each other's throats all the time, and it's just always been this like irritating fight between these neighbors, and it's just 50-50, and they both are just equally bad. Well, and but Palestinians were in their home. Israel was put into their home, and they keep removing more and more parts of Palestinians' homes that have where they've lived for hundreds of years.
Well, that's
so it's not. I mean,
the Israelis was made as a home for the Jews after the Holocaust and all that stuff in World War II.
Right. Was that something that the Palestinians did the Palestinians
they were
say, "Hey, come here and make your country in our land"? Well, what if, for example, there was let's say the Rwandan refugees needed a new home, and then say the Chinese decided, well, we're going to put your new home in River West.
Okay.
And you're just going to have to deal with it.
Well, the thing is, the Jews and the Israelis have been there even before then.
The Jews, according
back to biblical times.
Yeah, biblical times, 2,000 years ago.
Right, but even before Israel was Israel, they still lived there. It was less of a fight back then.
There were Jews who lived in Palestine before Palestine became Israel,
right?
And everyone lived cohabitated fine.
Yeah.
It's when the British decided to relocate mass numbers of Jews to what was then called Israel. That's when it became a problem. And even then, the Palestinians have given one concession after another to Israel, and Israel keeps on taking chunks of their property.
Israel's been giving away land. They gave away the Gaza Strip and everything.
They gave away the Gaza Strip to people who live there already before they came?
Well, isn't this possibly a cartography problem? And really, we just need to redraw that map.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe they just need to.
I mean, for one, I think one of the problems is America.
That one out again.
The United States has such a huge hand in what happens there, and also the United States benefits from having a base, like a military base there, or an ally in having Israel as an ally in the Middle East. But I mean, it's not a 50-50 situation. That's all I'm saying. It's not just these people who just can't get along or something.
I got something on. So since we're talking Obama on that, we have the LA Times report on how the Obama administration is going about that. At a news conference in Bangkok, Thailand, Obama urged both sides to resolve their differences without further escalation of violence in the region, while repeating his previous statements that Israel has a right to press for an end to attacks on its people. Obama said, "If that can be accomplished without a ramping up of military activity in Gaza, that's preferable. That's not just preferably for the people of Gaza, it's also preferable for Israelis. Because if Israeli troops are in Gaza, they're much more at risk of incurring fatalities or being wounded." British Foreign Secretary William Hague, or something like that, shared Obama's concerns, telling Sky News Television that a ground invasion of Gaza would lose Israel a lot of the international support and sympathy that they have in this situation. In addition to hitting the homes of Hamas officials, Israel expanded its targets to include buildings used by communications services, leaving several journalists injured early Sunday. At 1:30 a.m., strike against one building destroyed the 11th floor offices of Al-Quds Television, a Hamas-affiliated network. Several journalists were seriously wounded, including one whose leg had to be amputated, witnesses said. Cameraman Mohammed Akras, who's 23, said he was working in the night shift in case of any breaking stories, had just fallen asleep when the blast buried him and a colleague under furniture and debris. Israel targeted us because we are revealing the truth about their crimes, Akras said, half his face dotted with small shrapnel cuts. Israeli military officials defended the attacks against the Al-Quds site and another Hamas-run communications facility, saying they were trying to destroy rooftop antennas used by militants to communicate. So,
Yeah, and this is where I go back to the ground war. If they do press on and attack on the ground, they're going to lose world support. I mean, they're going to cause casualties with today's media, pictures, things like that. I mean, you know, when you look at where they're camping out, they're putting their military sites right next to civilian homes in the middle of heavily populated areas, and they're already strategically bombing. But it's impossible not to, you know, accidentally, you know, destroy something next to a military post.
Yeah.
One thing I really would like to talk about, though, is this, they call it the Iron Dome, this defense system that Israel's purchased to knock down the missiles that are shot at Tel Aviv and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What I find odd, I mean, okay, you buy a system, and from what I was reading, it only gets about 1 out of every 2. I mean,
50%.
that. I mean,
You're rocking and rolling if you're playing baseball.
yeah, but I mean, if you're dealing with people, 1 out of 2 is maybe they get, you know, maybe they should look into something else. I mean,
Yeah.
1 out of every 2. That's.
Oh.
I did read something, and
How does it work exactly? Do you know?
It's basically, I believe, just like you know, it registers the missile, and
Yeah.
then there's got to be some sort of counter,
Yeah.
probably a counter missile, or so. I don't know
That
exactly,
was part
but
of the Star Wars thing I always like to bring up from Ronald Reagan, the lasers
Oh,
on
yeah.
satellites defense, which was the big, yeah.
that was big.
They still haven't done that yet, but I hear that lasers are getting really, really close. They're putting them on tanks now.
Really?
But the interesting story that I really read was
I don't know.
how the Israelis are trying to conduct their lives as usual, and they made some story about a missile being shot and it went off course and it went into the water on a beachfront.
Huh.
And it started a fire, and smoke went for a little while, and people cleared the beach, but like 10, 15 minutes after they realized it was no threat, they came back onto the beach. I couldn't imagine that. I mean, in the U.S., and I guess that's how different it is, but in the U.S., if a missile was fired, like let's say down there on the beachfront in Milwaukee, I mean, you wouldn't see anyone there for weeks. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't go near that. No, that's very true. What was that?
I think that when you live in war long enough, it just becomes more and more people adapt to those things. Speaking of Star Wars, I've heard a theory or something that Star Wars was actually kind of a bluff, and that it was a way of bankrupting the USSR. That by creating the whole Star Wars plan.
It was just a plan to pretend like we were spending all
Right.
this money on this.
It was a way to make it was creating this new level of like military spending that the Russians, because that's basically how the USSR fell, was that we outspent them in military. They just kind of bankrupted themselves on military spending, and we were able to outspend them. And part of it was Star Wars was this idea. Part of it was to create Star Wars was to just make them spend even more money.
Yeah. America's way of winning wars has always been to outspend everybody.
Yeah, we
We've
currently
outspent
our military.
We've never not outspent our opponent in any.
Yeah, which is that's all coming to an end.
We constantly spend more money than everyone else.
Yeah, we have more. I probably mentioned it in other shows, but our military is more. Money is put into our military than all the militaries put together on the planet.
Well, it's got to make you feel safe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of hard to believe, but
Yeah,
it's
no, that's
amazing. Well, that's how much money we spend on the military.
Yeah, no, it is. But lasers on tanks, but they don't make any noise. Of course, they're not
they're light.
They're not fun Star Wars lasers. It's just they point they put it on tank. They'll point the laser at whatever it is they wanna. It pretty much heats it up to such a temperature that it like explodes.
Wow.
So it's that's how it works, by superheating whatever it's shooting. It has to contain a, what do you call it? The laser has to stay at its point for where it is for a while, but they're getting a lot better at it. They've been working at it for a while. I saw something.
That and drones.
And drones.
Unmanned vehicles. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those seem like kind of scary when you think about that one. Drones.
Yeah. Well, drones. Not only are they, we had a good show about drones once a long time ago, and they are of all sizes. Everything from the size of like a B-52 or like a jumbo jet to the size of an insect, and they are being sold and used not only in military applications, but also in domestic, like police departments are purchasing drones as well. So there's the chance that drones will be used in domestic situations, for like dealing with drug dealers or whatever, things like that. So it's kind of it's a little scary, and it's a little bit like landmines where you need to have. It's like landmines where you need to have some kind of regulation. Otherwise, if it's just if it's allowed to just take its course, it could get really out of control.
I wonder what's going to happen when it becomes more feasible and readily available for civilians to have armor, but like robotic armor.
Oh, you mean like on the body?
Yeah, like you actually wearable armor, but it would obviously be of like you'd be like RoboCop.
You can buy like the Kevlar already.
Right, but no, I mean
flak jackets, all that stuff.
Is that regulated? Do you know?
I the last time I looked into that was like 5 years ago, and this kind of cockamamie idea, but I had this thought like I was gonna bulletproof glass my car. I mean, I lived in Detroit, but I had all these things, so I searched it, and you could get the body armor and like full body armor, not just the chest thing that the police wear. You can get extended to your sleeves, and then for your vehicle you can get the bulletproof glass, and I mean it's amazing what you can do. Some of the stars actually, like the very popular people,
Is there any legislation on owning drones yourself? I mean, a remote controlled car technically is a drone.
Yeah, a remote controlled plane.
Remote control plane. Yeah,
remote control kites. That's what you got to worry about there.
Hot air balloons. They've been secretly getting ready. With
I think the word drone is a lot of things can fall under that term. Drone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man.
Maybe a drone has to be equipped with armor or weaponry. But actually, I don't think so, because I've heard that drones will also be used by like the Forest Service and things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Any robot. A drone, we're just kind of calling a robot, right? But you're controlling
an unmanned vehicle. It's an unmanned. Flying vehicle, I believe.
Okay, it has to be flying.
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't think it's like a car.
Be ground. Okay.
Yeah.
Or sea.
Right.
Although I imagine there's got to be they don't.
I'm sure they have that as well.
Yeah,
unmanned
we don't hear much
submarines
about underwater stuff, but there's got to be little like just torpedoes on their own, just going around. I bet. At this point, I mean, there's really no reason why you couldn't just have big torpedoes going in,
just waiting,
just circling in spots,
Yeah.
That's kind of scary to think about, but I mean, it wouldn't take much to just have like your own little torpedo lines going down there. All right, after that depressing thought.
I thought it was a cool thought.
Yeah. We got torpedoes. The morality test. That's what I found for this week. I've been liking the surveys, and I found here the morality test. So we're gonna check our morals here at Jim and Friends Read the News.
Baby, if you're listening, you might want to.
Yeah, nothing like going into someone's morals to really start a good fight. All right. a nice softball on to begin with. I believe that people are mostly altruistic or mostly selfish. On a level of 1, well, they go 1 to 7 for whatever odd reason. Are people mostly altruistic or mostly selfish? Or obviously we kind of have to, or what makes a person lean one way or the other?
Yeah, that one to me is difficult because it depends where you're at. Mm-hmm. You work in a large corporation, pretty much I'd say, in general, there's a lot of selfish people. But their motivations are different than if you would go into, let's say, a volunteer organization.
Yeah.
So, that one's hard. I'd like to believe that on the base side of a human being, they're not selfish people.
All right, here's a different question then. Is that something that you learn by environment or something that is genetically inclined for your personality to lean one way or the other?
Well, first of all, I mean, I think it's kind of a hard thing to define. What was it? Altruism versus selfishness?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Because, for example, a mother, or even like the head of a corporation might give all kinds of things to his son, out of love.
Okay.
So is he being selfish? Is nepotism in a business, is that like George W. Bush, the Bush family, making it so your son can become president of the United States? Is that altruistic or is it selfish? It's a little of both. You're on the one hand, you're giving to this other entity that's not yourself, but maybe it's your family, it's your close friends. I think most people behave a little bit in a tribal way where we're used to being altruistic to the people we depend on and the people that a certain number of people, maybe, I don't know what it would be, but maybe like there's 30 people in everyone's lives on average that they're altruistic to, but then after that, when someone becomes a stranger, you maybe we just aren't really wired to care about every single stranger that you see.
Right.
So maybe it's just a hard thing to define. And then the other question is it selfish to be altruistic? Are you being nice to your children because in the end it kind of helps you? Mm-hmm. So it gets kind of confusing.
Weird. It makes me think of, if anyone watches Louis with Louis C.K., he had one of his TV shows, a comedy bit one where he was talking about him and his friend picked up his cousin who had never been to the city before, New York, and so she's like a country girl and she's going to the city for the first time, and she's like, older teens, like 18 or something, and when she first gets off the subway, she sees a homeless man right away, and she's horrified that there's a homeless man in the corner. Oh my God, do you need help? And she goes straight to the guy down on one knee and asks him if he needs help, and Louis is like, no, don't do that, don't touch him. And she's like, what, does he not need help? And he's like, oh no, he definitely needs your help, but we don't do that. We don't do that here. So I think that kind of goes a little bit with that question too. Who does deserve to be the altruistic approach, and where's that line? Should you help random people?
Yeah, I mean that one's tough, but I do believe, and you have to put yourself in the environment that we're in today. You look around, I guess, what are people doing? They're competing for jobs, things like that. But I mean, when you talk about the natural disasters that happen in the United States, you're helping out strangers. Mm-hmm. I know plenty of people that for no reason just went down. So I mean, it depends on how you're helping them too. Mm-hmm. Because one, I think it's just like anything. I mean, it almost is it's almost like popular vote. If there's something that is attractive to people and makes them feel good about themselves, they'll gravitate towards it. But
just before we leave this one, then, what about the teaching of morals or morality in schools? where how involved should a public institution that's teaching everyone's kids be involved in forming what if you should help that guy or not?
That's I don't know. It's kind of it seems like a case by case type of situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, it depends on what that person's teaching. For example, if someone is teaching religious ideas,
Okay.
and the children are, it's a secular school or something, that could get a little complicated. Or say you're teaching something like abortion kills babies, and you should save all those babies from being killed. It depends on how it's framed.
I suppose that's too vague.
But then on the other hand, it's like, of course you want to teach morals. In fact, I don't even think you can avoid it. That's just how I feel like whenever you see adults talking to kids, they're always sort of trying to teach them something. There's always a message, like people will say, don't forget to say thank you, or, there's always something. Maybe that's not moral. Maybe that's more like manners or something. But etiquette and manners. But I feel like we're always trying to teach children, whether we even think about it or not. It's just part of how we behave around kids. We're constantly thinking about that stuff.
That's very true. Okay. I got down too far down now.
What do you think about that one, Gabe?
My survey.
I don't know. I've been getting barraged by text from my mom, so.
Okay.
No.
Well, I was corrected by my significant other. Apparently, the system shoots down 90%, not 50%.
Oh.
So,
well, that's pretty.
I read a couple different. Yeah, that blows
really
my whole
knocking it out of
theory.
the park
So
now.
now she's just not correcting my poor English. She's correcting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what do you think about that?
I didn't catch half of what was going on.
And basically, it's in schools, should children be taught morals? And to your argument, I don't think religion even needs to come into it. I mean, you look at any good religion, and they're based on the same morals. That do good unto others. All those just general concepts. And I mean, look around. I mean, day by day. I mean, I think it's deteriorating. I think there's a general need, especially as religion is decreasing. Yeah. People aren't going to these places anymore in the numbers they were, so something has to take over, and you can't just do it with laws.
Should?
Somebody should. I mean, if you have a good parent system, of course.
You should give that responsibility to the families. So.
Well, what happens when there's obvious flaws with families that
I don't know, maybe work it into literature class or something.
Read some good books.
Sometimes, I mean,
that's not a bad. Read better books.
Yeah, I mean, that Louis C.K. thing is a really great example of a moral tale where Louis C.K. is basically playing the role of the bad guy, but he knows he's the writer. He wrote the joke,
right.
And basically he knows what a weird thing it is that we walk past people who are, have no home, no food, are like basically treated like debris almost, and we just walk past them every day, especially in big cities. And he's making a comment about how conflicted he is by it, that he's sort of like taught himself not to care, sort of, but then deep in his heart, he knows there's something wrong with it, but he just doesn't know how to deal with it.
Right. Well,
I don't know if that's a moral tale or not. It's kind of just like
huge
open-ended.
Issue that at that point, anyone in New York City couldn't live their life if you weren't allowed to walk past a homeless person without doing anything.
Or if everyone in New York City took it, if everyone in New York City did take it upon themselves to help every single person who's down on their luck, you probably wouldn't have many people down on their luck, but there are some people out there who just keep burning every bridge they can possibly burn. There are people out there who just, are junkies and will, are just going to leech off of every single person who ever gives them anything. And, so there's that whole conundrum.
That's why I kind of try not to, I try to avoid giving anybody anything really unless they're entertaining me, because that way they're providing a service. Entertainment, but
that's a very sort of Ayn Randian view.
I do find that I like to, if I am going to give money, at least get like a joke out of it or something.
Yeah, get a joke or what's his name? The comedian who died a couple years back. He had his own show. You know what I'm talking about? The comedian, the guy. He had a show.
Which one?
Oh
boy.
George Carlin? No,
black guy.
Bill Cosby?
No, not Bill.
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac.
Oh, Bernie Mac. Yeah, he was amazing.
He started out he was a homeless guy in Chicago, and that's how he got discovered. He was telling jokes to people on the L.
Oh yeah,
on the Chicago subway system.
I never heard that part.
Yeah, he sat by people and he would tell them jokes, and they'd be cracking up. And one day he sat by the right guy, and he got the gig on TV.
Yeah.
Wow, man, I did not know that about Bernie Mac.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting story.
I mean, yeah, that is a pretty interesting story. I wonder how many times he was arrested before he actually got the gig.
There's some guys that put on quite a show.
He actually passed away too.
Yeah, he passed away
at an early age. Heart attack or
weird, some sort of internal. I forgot what it was. Heart attack thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of freaked out every time I watch one of the reruns now.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not as funny or something.
Yeah, it's sad.
And because of tragic.
Yeah.
Loss, yeah. Well, so that's the morality. Let's move on a little bit. That took us for a while there.
Same last name. You might be
here's
related.
something that's got no morals to it. The government needs to do more to protect us from corporate corruption. Yes, sir. Strongly agree or disagree?
I'd say
Aren't they facilitating it? If you reword the question, help facilitate less.
Right. Well, they're drawing up the loopholes.
Oh, yeah.
They write in all their back doors. I don't. Yeah, is the so
yes, I guess.
That's to me that's a yes. I mean, but the last time I looked into this issue, what people don't understand is some of these high officials and corporations, they actually have insurance now, where they protect themselves from this. Which I don't know what that states. Now you need insurance against being corrupt.
How is that? Yeah, that sounds like one of those.
It protects, like, if something was found during your reign of power, it protects you against, like, a personal lawsuit, because now they're going after people criminally civilly.
Mm-hmm.
But
what a world we live.
Yeah.
So
that's why.
My goodness. Let's move on to something a little more cheery.
The what?
I want to talk
Companies are doing that, like corrupt companies, or
companies will protect their own people. Like, as you come on board, they'll actually try to protect you with some sort of plan and stuff like that.
This almost sounds like they're telling you as you get in. It's like, come on up, but you're gonna want to you save yourself from what we're doing over here.
Yeah, you could be corrupt, but this is corruption insurance.
Right.
You can take the boat, but don't take the free lunch.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. My goodness. Let's just move on to gun control.
Oh wow.
Gun control. I'm sorry, did you have something to say before?
No, I didn't really have much more. I thought that was really interesting. It's like malpractice insurance, but they all just pool together because they know one of them is going to get heavily sued for something. So they all join a pool.
You join the club.
Yeah. Because obviously no one else is buying that insurance.
Yeah, right. Okay, so with that, gun control is not at all necessary, or gun control is very necessary. I just like bringing this
up. Well, I guess, car control, like poison control or chemical control. It seems like, yes, of course you need some controls. This is a thing designed to kill human beings. That's its purpose. To kill animals and human beings. It's a device It's a tool for killing. There's probably even some controls on like saws and like I don't know.
Like chainsaws?
Yeah, chainsaws. Or, certain kinds of.
Our chainsaws regulated. I'm not sure if that's
probably
good.
not. Probably not. Probably like 5-year-olds could use chainsaws.
yeah.
But it seems to me like why wouldn't you want to have as many controls on gun use as anything equivalently dangerous?
Thinking of the chainsaw thing, I don't know, this takes off topic a little bit, but there was this show I watched on History or something, but it was gold diggers, and it was people up in like Alaska mining for gold, and so they have to run this big excavation equipment, and there was this one family that owned the gold mine, but the older parents weren't doing it anymore. There's the grandpa was too old and stuff. So, but they had their 17-year-old kid, and he was doing He was
running the mine.
Farming, running the mine, the family gold mine. And there's this 17-year-old kid out there running humongous excavators and all this stuff, and until they eventually shut him down. The law or whatever of the city found out that he was running this equipment and told him that he needed to get licensed, shut him down for a day or two, and the family then had to hire a guy to come out and then test the kid on the equipment to get legally licensed, which the kid did, and then eventually passed the inspection or whatever he needed to do, and continued to mine for the family. But then I guess my question is, because what happened is pretty much the city was just like, hey, there's this 17-year-old kid out there mining. Let's make him pay, because he then had to also pay to take the course that they told him that he had to do. It's let's go make him take that thing.
OSHA or something came in, shut him down, fined him $5,000.
Yeah, exactly. Came in and fined him $5,000 or whatever it was, and shut him down until the kid's you got to have the proper paperwork to be running all this stuff on your. But it's a family farm, if you ask me. It's been a mine owned by the family forever. How old do you have to be to farm? I don't know.
First of all, does Alaska have the same laws as the United States?
I don't think so.
No, but 17 years old. I guess there's always regulations. You should always be safe. But is this really the highlight of safety? That you traveled all the way to Alaska to find one kid running an.
Oh no, they were just doing a show. They just.
Oh, it was a show. Okay,
actually,
there you go.
No. What I mean by that,
little Jimmy, we want you to cry at this point.
What I mean by that is that I think what happened was because they were filming a TV show, the local law found out that, hey, there's this kid out there doing stuff. No one ever knew.
It was a byproduct of the show.
It was a byproduct of the show that the city's oh man, there's this kid out there mining. We can't let him do that. And so went and hit him with this thing. Is that too much regulation?
It's too much. Let's get real. Is it probably unsafe? But if the kid was doing it for how many years? Exactly certified or not, you're running equipment. I don't know.
I guess the bigger question is, when do you let kids go to work?
Well, I'll say one thing, and this is just my opinion here, but the next thing that the government can come up with to pull in more tax money is to reduce the age of labor, and I hope that never happens. Because you look back on your life and when you had to start work, and some of your highlights are in your childhood. You have time to explore life.
I thought you meant working.
No.
I remember remember when I was a kid and I had to go in.
That's life experience right there.
Right.
No, and I think they really need to regulate that. I was just watching some program on like Thailand or something like that where the little girls were
Sweatshops.
fighting. No, they were actually Thai Muay fighters or something, and the little girls were making more money than their parents farming.
dang.
So that's when you have no regulation whatsoever. And come on, 7-year-old
Obviously no good.
little girls Muay Thai fighting to feed their families.
Muy
Is it-
caliente.
Is it 14? Is that when you can apply to go get a job? Because I also remember
14,
too,
yeah.
also being like
15, 14.
in whatever early high school, late like middle school or whatever,
Yeah.
kid like friends like wanting to go get a job so they can make money, and I forget what the age was when they were like allowed. to
I
actually
remember when
sign
I
up
was
to work, I guess.
15, I could work.
Yeah.
Because I worked. But 14, I don't know.
Maybe it was. Well, I think there was
Worked
also
at Wendy's when I was
jobs.
15.
A lot
I know
of
that-
newspaper routes, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Newspaper route.
Oh, yeah.
Corn to tasseling. I remember kids in
Now,
junior high
like-
doing that.
Now for like newspapers, it's like one house every
Yeah.
7
Well, that job-
miles
yeah, that
actually
job's
gets
not-
the physical newspaper.
You got one?
Yeah, the newspaper boy is pretty much gone.
Well, they're
that job-
adults now driving around
Well, right, because
because
that's the only way that you have to have a car.
Yeah, my
to have a
buddy was doing
newspaper
that
route now.
in his car.
yeah. Gotta have
Yeah, I went with him on the route, throwing them out the window.
I have to.
reliving past experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, I have to
times.
thank a newspaper boy and his dog for helping me one night when I was stranded downtown in Milwaukee. I missed all the cabs and I was stuck out there.
Didn't know where you
I
were.
didn't know exactly how to get home. I was still pretty new to Milwaukee, and a newspaper guy at like 5 a.m. with his dog came by. I waved him down and asked for like directions. He's like, "I'll give you a ride, man." So thank you, friendly newspaper.
Yeah, shout
guy
out to
and
the
his dog.
newspaper guy, yeah.
Nice Journal Sentinel.
Yeah, the Journal Sentinel
Good deal.
came to my rescue that night.
Shout out.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm just. Where does the regulation start and stop? When do you let kids work? That's my question.
I think 14's a fine age.
Yeah,
Sounds
14, 15.
Obviously,
somewhere
there's
in there.
Yeah, 15.
certain
And by their
jobs
own
they're
will.
Right.
Right.
Not
Well,
because the
yeah.
parents drop them off and, they're looking for extra money to pay
Right.
their bill. That's not right.
Yeah, it's
it
kinda-
should be a free will of the child or the young
However
adult.
you monitor that.
Well, you ask them the question separate from the parents being in the room.
Do you want to be here?
Some parents that own restaurants, even around here, they'll have like their kids that are like, 7, 8, 9 years old, like working in the back. Yeah,
Oh,
At our family restaurant.
yeah,
sure.
family restaurants.
you can do that?
I have no idea.
I don't know if it's legal, but it happens.
Well, we'll just call the restaurant. What do you want to call it? Just give it
Yeah.
a generic name so that there's no harm done.
yeah.
This is quite the loaded question. I shouldn't bring it up, but I'm going to because I can't believe they asked this question. I believe that physical and mental differences in ability between races are largely determined by genetics or environment. I'm not sure that that's a question that should even be asked on a morality test.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah, that's what I said. I believe that physical and mental differences in ability between races are largely determined by. Why? I don't know where that.
I don't
how
know
is
where
that
that is.
That's a.
Let's just skip
Yeah,
that
3
one.
minutes.
That's just a horrible question.
Yeah, let's just skip
I think
that
that's a morally awful question to ask.
one. Yeah, maybe that is
We
a
could
trick
skip
question.
that.
That's why it's a trick
That's a
question.
trick.
It's a trick.
Yeah.
They're seeing if you're gonna answer it.
Yeah.
Give it like.
Can't get us morality tests. We know better than to answer that question. That's not good. All right,
It's
we only got
slippery
two.
slope.
We got 2 minutes. The government needs to do. Oh, that's the one who said. I'm sorry. The government needs to do more for national security, even at the cost of personal freedoms.
No.
We have to be quick with this.
No.
I think we agree on this one.
Yeah. I mean,
It's invasive.
Yeah.
even going to the airport and sticking your hands up. I mean, People are already having offense to
Let
that.
them check the inside of your
That's
butt.
a definitely no.
Yeah, that's a definite no.
That's the next step.
And then the last.
Sir, could you raise your hands and then step over in this little box? What?
Well, that's like the the government. Well, who gets to decide who's the checker at the TSA?
Yeah, who are these people checking
I want
us?
to know.
I hope
They get
they're
these
screening them.
jobs.
Because if they find out
but I want to know
somewhere,
what kind of screening.
I mean, if they find
Yeah.
out somewhere like they're some sort of perverts or recurring sex offenders, there's a problem with that system. But I mean, they screen them. They've got to screen them
I
well.
wonder how well the screening is for something like that.
Oh.
That's a tough one though.
Yeah, how do you screen the screener?
I don't know how. Exactly.
That's true.
Yes. Yeah. It's too many screens going on.
Yeah, all
there.
these government.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, I
Well-
think you have to pass some kind of thing to be a government worker at all. But still.
Well, I know there's no IQ test, but
And it's all multiple choice. Every now and then, 1 out of like 100 just guessed every answer.
A,
on
B,
there
point.
and
Pick which one looks like a gun.
So on that note, today is November 18th, 2012. Chuck and Santiago are coming up again. I thank you, Rob. Thank you, Gabe. And
Thanks, Jim.
for another week here at Jim and Friends Read the News. And until later, go Packers. And
Go Bears.
yeah, all right. I'll let you throw it in there. All right. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
I was from Detroit.